We're live.
Oh, yay! It says
Yay!
it. The broadcast is live.
We're
Woohoo!
here.
Hi.
Hi.
So, what's up? Let me tell you
Nothing.
what my son did this week.
Okay.
Because we've talked this week, but we haven't talked about the kids
Yeah.
that much. We've mostly
It's
been
been a
doing
busy
this.
week. Yep.
It's been a crazy freaking week.
Yes,
All right. So we were going to sleep at my mom's the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets his backpack that we had with us in Tennessee, and he's got this keychain on it. I have no idea where this keychain came from, and I wish I had it in here to show you because it's the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's creepy.
It's yeah, it's super creepy. It's like Siren Head or something. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Siren Head. Okay. So he goes, "Mommy, where'd this come from?" And I'm like, "I don't know. What do you mean? You don't know how it got on your bag?" And he's like, "No, I don't." He's like, "Maybe the demons brought it for me."
You got to throw your whole kid out.
The demons. And I was like, I don't think demons brought it for you. Maybe it was your Mimi or one of your uncles or your cousin. And he goes, "Well, I wouldn't be mad if the demons brought it. It just means they like me."
Oh my God.
Dana. I can't deal.
The boy needs an exorcism.
He loves creepy stuff though. So
That's so cool because then he's not scared. So that's good.
I mean, but he is. So whatever.
Well, whatever. Well, I think I have a funny story too. So the other day, me and Sophia and my husband Butler were laying on the floor and we're watching the new, what is it, Buzz Lightyear movie? What's it called?
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called. Lightyear or something?
Yeah.
So we're sitting there watching it, right? And my mom's on FaceTime and she's like, "Sophia, what are you watching?" And she's like, "Blah, blah, blah, I'm watching a movie, Grammy." And Butler mumbles underneath his breath. He goes, "We're watching porn." And I was just like, "What?" Because Sophia turns around and goes, "Grammy, we're watching porn. We're watching porn, Grammy." And I was just like, "Oh my God." I was so
bye, Mom. Gotta go.
Literally. I was like, she's like, "What's she saying?" I was like, I can't understand what she's saying. And she's like, "Grammy, porn, Grammy." I was like,
I'm done.
I'm like, okay, done. She's in the stage where she can repeat herself or ourselves. So let's not. Thank God she forgot and isn't walking around the house "Can we turn on porn?" Because that would.
Could you imagine going out to the grocery store?
What's your favorite show? Porn. I would die. I would literally die. I'm
done. I would just here you go, take my kid. Clearly, I'm just not a good parent. Just take her. I can't even explain this. Oh my gosh. Wow. That was our little recap of funny things our kids did this week. But now it's time for us to dive into episode 2.
Yay!
Of Mom's Time to Whine. We're going to talk about our lovely labor pains. We kind of have a similar story, but I also have 2.
Do.
So
cheers.
So cheers. Boop. Let's virtually clink.
Twisted tea.
What are you drinking?
Of course. What are you drinking?
One day, people. One day. She is going to try something new. One day she's going to shock us all, and there's going to be wine in that glass.
Eyelash curler. I don't know why. But yeah, I think next week I'm going to buy some wine.
So I did another concoction.
I need recommendations, by the way.
Okay, well, I don't know if you'll like this. So I am drinking, I got the Barefoot again, but I got it in pineapple this time. With strawberry Mike's Hard Lemonade. I don't know what's going on, why I'm they taste good. Strawberry and pineapple.
Yeah.
The porn story is super funny.
So, it is super funny.
Man, and they repeat everything.
They
Dude.
do.
Everything.
They do.
Oh,
They do.
you are at that phase too, where it's like, well, mommy, you said it, so I can say it.
Right.
I'm not
And it's
looking
like,
forward
no.
to that phase again.
No.
Facts.
Too funny.
So, would you like to tell your
Oliver's
labor
older
story first? Yeah, but I feel
You-
like I have 2 stories, so it's gonna be like longer than yours.
So
I have like comparisons. All right, I'll just go first.
you go first. You go first.
I always go first.
You have more experience. Like you have 2. You have 2.
I do. All right. So I have 2 kids. If you are new here, we did talk about it in the last episode a little bit. We'll probably talk about it again. That's what this whole thing's about, right? Talking about our kids. So this episode is about our birthing stories because they weren't that fun. And in all honesty, I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about the scary stuff.
Right.
When you like give birth to people, they always talk about how amazing it is to finally have the baby here, and it doesn't matter all the pain you went through because the baby is worth every ounce of it. And it's like, yes, but like, bro, right? Like, come on, they are worth it, but like, we got to be real. And also too, I hope that me telling you guys like my 2 stories, because spoiler alert, had 2 C-sections. So maybe if you are on your second kid, maybe if you're on your second kid and your first one was a C-section and you're like thinking to yourself, do I want to have another one? Maybe what I say will give you some insight into the process the second time. So with Oliver, I was full term, past full term, 42 weeks pregnant. My doctor refused to induce me. He refused to put me into labor. It was just like, oh, it'll come naturally, blah, 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 blah. So around 34 weeks pregnant, 35 maybe, my doctor basically told me that I needed to have a C-section because my hips were too narrow, which of course that's like nobody's plan, right? So it's like, you don't want to have a C-section. That's surgery. You're already going to have a baby. It's so scary.
Yeah.
And so I was like a wreck. I was crying in my car after the doctor's appointment. I went to Will's work, was crying in the middle of Walgreens in PA, and was just like super upset about it. And then, also with my family, like nobody's had C-sections. So it was really scary because nobody knew like what to expect.
Yeah, you have nobody to talk to, really.
Yeah, it was all like, everybody was just like, that doesn't make any sense, blah, 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 blah. It was more of like, just kind of more dramatic than it needed to be. So it was like really scary. So whatever. And I remember going with one of my friends to my appointment at like 40 weeks, maybe 39 weeks. And she came with me because she had a C-section. And she was like, okay, well, can we schedule a C-section? You told her she had to have one. Right. So let's schedule one. And, she already had a kid, so she knew what she was doing, like, whatever. And he refused to schedule C-section. He's like, well, I'm not allowed to schedule C-sections until you're, like, 42 weeks pregnant or something like that. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I need to find a new doctor. And I'm literally about to have this baby, and I need to find a new doctor. And I didn't trust him anymore. I didn't like feel comfortable with him anymore. I felt like my kid's life was like at risk at that point.
Yeah.
And then 40 weeks comes, no baby. 41 weeks comes, no baby. Like my son was due November 19th. He wasn't born until December.
I would have lost my mind.
Literally.
FYI.
Like we're at the hospital. We went to the hospital in false labor on Thanksgiving, but So the day before he was born, we went to the doctors to see him. My aunt came with me, and I just remember my aunt and the doctor screaming at each other
Oh my gosh, I
because
remember you telling me this. Mm.
and I was just like so like I was tired. I was in so much pain. Like Oliver literally like crippled me for a week because of
A
my
week, your whole pregnancy.
I know, but like for like a week, I actually couldn't walk. Like I needed
Yeah,
help getting up and going to the bathroom and stuff. Like
I
I
remember
could
that.
not walk. Um, I was in so much pain and it was just really horrible. So of course, 2 weeks past my due date, my aunt's yelling at him. He's like yelling back at my aunt. My aunt's like, "You're going to induce her. You're going to give her a C section. Figure it out, whatever." And he said, "Well, I can induce her." And I was like, "What do you mean you can induce me? Like, you told me I had to have a C section a
Right,
month ago, more than
right.
a month ago now." And he's like, "Well, any labor can end up in a C section." So
Sir.
now, so now instead of the C-section I thought I was having and came to grips with, um, I'm
Right,
getting
because you have to
induced.
like mentally prepare for that. Like,
Prepare yourself. That's like a lot.
because not only
So,
you have to get surgery, you have to like figure out how you're gonna recover. You know what I mean?
and it's something you've never dealt with before.
It's so
Like
scary.
it's so crazy.
Birth
So
is
it's like
scary in general.
legit, and you're
Like,
just like panicking at that
yeah.
point. So the night before, I barely slept. I was in so much pain. I had like a rash all over my body because I had like a pregnancy rash.
Mm-hmm.
Um I was in back I had back labor,
Mm-hmm.
which is excruciating. And when I got to the hospital, they were like, "Oh, your blood pressure is very elevated. Like
No
you
shit.
if you didn't come in tonight, like you probably would have had like a seizure."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Oh, thank you." What? What do you mean? He wanted me to wait 3 more days.
Mm.
Jeez. So everything happens for a reason, people, for real.
Yeah.
So, had toxemia. They kept me on blood pressure stuff, magnesium, Pitocin, which counteract each other. So I'm in labor for 13 hours. Then I just started vomiting everywhere. Like everywhere. Oliver went into distress and they like rushed me into the ER to get him out. So emergency C-section now, mentally prepared for a C-section, didn't think it was going to happen, and then
Right.
boom, 13 hours later. So after the C-section, it was like I was on so many drugs. I couldn't even hold my baby by myself.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to feed him.
Which is like
Nothing.
the most like that first time together. It's like
Yeah.
your bonding time. Like obviously you
Yeah.
have forever to bond, but
Yeah. I mean, me and Will made it very like only he was allowed to hold the baby.
yeah.
Nobody else was allowed to hold the baby until I woke up and I could hold the baby.
Yeah. Which is
So
rules are important when it comes to
yes.
stuff like this.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you
sure.
have to agree on them.
Yep.
And it was definitely like I just remember holding him and being like, something's wrong with him. Something's wrong with him. And they were like, nothing's wrong. He's fine. And I'm like, he can't open his eyes. He can't open his eyes. And here he had an allergic reaction to the drops that they put in the baby's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all telling me I was crazy and high. No, I wasn't.
It's called being
I
a
know my
mother.
baby.
That shit kicks in immediately.
I know. Seriously. So it's like, come on.
Right.
Come on. And recovery was just like, it was brutal. Like, I remember my sister coming to the hospital and just like helping me shower for the first time, helping me like get dressed. And they put staples in my stomach.
Ugh.
So it was like, you could feel them kind of. It was just not. It wasn't fun.
It's just wild. It's just wild.
And it's like, I feel like, yeah, it was my first kid and I trusted the doctors.
Yep.
Like, I trusted that they knew how to do their job. I was 25. Like, I just felt like, okay, this guy's super old. He's delivered 1,000,001 babies. So many people we worked with at Wawa went to him, and
Oh,
they
really?
delivered, and he yeah. I forget the girl's name, but she worked with us. She also lived in my apartment complex with me,
Okay.
and she had like 2 kids. And he delivered both of her kids.
That's wild.
And he told her the same thing, though, that her hips were too narrow.
Funny.
That's
suspicious.
Yeah, weird. But whatever. I wouldn't call him out, but I don't even remember his name. Oh, and funny other part of that is, so the day before to start labor, right? They put like this balloon thing, up there.
Yeah, they did.
To try and get it started, right?
Right.
He forgot that he put it in there. Did I never tell you that?
Oh my God.
He literally forgot. He forgot that he put it in there. So I'm like literally in the hospital bed. They already gave me like my epidural. I'm on all these drugs, and they're like, okay, we're gonna break your water. And I'm like, you can't. There's a balloon in there. You gotta get it out. Like, what do you
Did
mean?
you never I guess you never dilated to the
I dilated to 3 centimeters. That is it.
That's why. That's it.
Usually
it
only
falls
3
out
centimeters.
eventually. Yeah.
Oh no, they had to take it out.
Well,
I was freaking out. I was losing my mind. And then they were like, oh, we're gonna break your water. They told me they broke my water. Nothing came out.
Well, that's not good.
Nothing. I said to Will, like, is the bed wet? He's like, nope. I said, oh, okay, cool. There's no fluid inside me. Awesome.
Yeah,
Fun.
which is dangerous. That's so dangerous.
Because you have to think, like, I mean, I don't know. I've heard of a lot of people going like longer, and like the baby will come when it's supposed to come and whatever. But I'm sorry, I'm not that person.
No.
I need the baby out because
Were you like,
now I'm stressed.
I wonder if your water like naturally just like seeped out over time for there to be none.
Yeah, maybe. Probably. I mean,
that's scary. I hear like all types of crazy stuff about that.
I know. Yeah, it's nuts.
It's scary.
Or like when it's just like like you imagine it's gonna be like in the movies.
Girl.
Like
wait till my story.
And then okay, fast forward to 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead 6 years basically.
I'm gonna show you this comment. He's such a shithead.
I love it.
That was my husband, by the way, for anybody that didn't know.
My husband is trying to put our daughter back to sleep.
Oh, geez.
Because she is not asleep. And I actually gave my son back his TV.
Well, that was nice of you.
It was a little selfish of me too, not gonna lie, because I was like, Mom, you gotta be distracted. Sorry, kid, whatever. So little Miss Jane, the princess. Love of my life. I wanted to have a natural birth with her. I was all for it in the beginning, 100%.
Like no epidural natural birth, or like
no, like come out of my vagina natural birth. That's all.
Oh my God.
It'll probably be like no monetizing. You said. So yeah, no, I need the drugs. I need those. Yeah. My back pain is too severe. So we are, I want to say, geez, when did I had her 3 days before her due date. Oh. She was actually due on Dana's husband's birthday.
That's true.
Which is the day after my husband's birthday.
He told me he didn't want to share his birthday, so you can blame him.
No, I scheduled it. I scheduled it.
That's right.
So yeah. So basically it got time. I was in my last week of pregnancy and I was in pain and I was just like over it. And I guess you could say I took the easy way out and I didn't want anything to happen naturally. But also at the same time, like Jane is born a week before Oliver.
Yeah.
And I
That's
did
rough.
not want to be in the hospital for his birthday. I
Yeah.
did not. And it was like, okay, I could go into labor naturally and be in the hospital for his birthday. Or she could possibly be born on his birthday. Or whatever. Like, there were so many scenarios running around in my head. And I was like, I can't do this. Like, I remember going to the doctor's office, the last visit, and they were like, okay, well, how you feeling? What do you want to do? Like, they were very
Get
supportive.
this baby out.
Oh my gosh. No, I wasn't even like that. It was so crazy because it's like, I got there, I was driving to the doctor's and I was like, I'm going to tell them I want a C-section. Like, I'm going to
Right.
schedule it. And then I got there and I was like, oh, I'm fine. Like, I chickened out, but not real. Like, I just didn't like, part of me was like, oh, I still want to be pregnant. But then part of me was like, get this kid out of me.
Yeah. I get that.
So then I remember I came home and I was still in pain and I was just like, you know what? It's done. It's time. Everything happens for a reason. Like, I'm over it. So I scheduled the C-section and it was so good. The whole,
Yeah.
and it depends on the hospital. It depends on your nurses. It depends on your doctors. And it was just such a good experience. I remember we got there super early in the morning. They admitted us. They COVID tested us. They did all the things they had to do, right?
Mhm.
And they walked me through every single step of the process. They were like,
Which
okay,
I feel
we're giving you this.
I feel like that's so important because when you go from having an experience like you did with Oliver and then getting told exactly what's going to happen, what you should expect, and like having somebody there to like basically like be like, it's going to be okay. Like,
Yeah.
this is what's going to happen and you're going to be okay.
Oh,
And
yeah. And
if
it
you're
was so
not, we're
nice.
here to take care of you. Unlike your other experience where it was like, you're not okay, let's go. It's like, well, wait a minute, what? Like, why couldn't it be
I
like that
know.
all the time? Which sucks, but
And I mean,
yeah.
I get it partially, but like, it was just so different and it was just nice. Like, I just remember the nurses were all so nice. I met
Yeah.
with like every single person before they even took me into the surgery.
Right.
Like, the anesthesiologist came into the room, the doctors came into the room, the nurses that were all going to be there. Everybody came in, introduced themselves to me, said, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I was awake the entire time. Like, with Oliver, I was awake. I felt them.
Oh.
Well, you don't feel it, but like, you feel
Yeah,
it. Like, you
I
feel
get
pressure.
Yeah.
And Will was like right next to me. And I just remember with Oliver, he was like, turn your head. And I was like, the hardest thing I ever did in my life was to turn my head. Like,
Right.
I couldn't move. And I remember seeing Oliver and he cried and they put him on the table and then everything went dark. Don't remember anything. Completely out. I don't even know how long I was out for.
Right.
And then with Jane, it was like, I'm laying there. I'm literally talking to the doctors while they're cutting me open.
Hey, how are my insides looking today?
Like, what's up? And then I even remember going, no more babies after this, right, babe? And Will was like, yeah. And then the doctor peeked over the curtain. They were like, should we be doing something else while we're in here? And I was like, oh, no, it's fine.
No, thank you.
Like, no, thanks. They were gonna like, tie my tubes or whatever. But
Yeah.
I was like, no, thanks. I'm not about that right now.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, and then they took Jane out and I heard her cry instantly and they just like put her over the curtain and I just was staring at her like, wow.
That's a baby.
That's a baby. She looks
Lion
exact.
King style.
And
Just
she was
look-
born at the same exact time as Oliver.
That's so funny.
In the morning instead of at night. But at the same exact time.
That's really cool.
And they
That's like a
almost
cool
weighed
story.
the exact same pounds. And also, cool part of the story is I found out I was pregnant with my kids on the exact same date, exactly 6 years later, or 5 years later. 6
I mean,
years
that
later.
wasn't planned.
It wasn't, but
Mm.
I was like, geez, let's just take this test for like fun of it. Let's just take this test for the fun of it. And then
Girl,
boom.
I took 7 before I believed it. So there's that.
I took 1 and I was like, hey, we having a baby, bro.
I took 7. Literally 7.
But I mean, I just find, listen, if somebody out there is like, hey, what should I do? Listen, either way, as long as your kid is coming into the world on your terms, like,
Yeah.
that's all that matters. Don't let the doctors dictate what's going to happen, because that was the worst thing that I could have ever done the first time around. I think, like, you know, once you go through something like that, you just have to educate yourself.
Yeah.
On like what, you know, the different
How
things
was your recovery? Like, was it better than Oliver's, or was it about the same? Like, did you?
It was
because
weird.
I feel like you knew what to expect. You know what I mean? Like,
so I think so too. Like with Oliver, it was like I was in a lot of pain, but I also was like pushing myself.
Yeah.
Because I was so anxious. And also, like, Will didn't stay home from work the first time.
Yeah.
And this time was a completely different experience. Like, Will got paternity leave. We both got leave. We were both home. It was so much help. Like, I could sleep. Oliver was in school. So it was like, you know, I could wake up and feed the baby all night long. And then, like, in the mornings after I took Oliver to school, I could come home and take a nap.
Yeah.
And actually get some sleep in, which is so important. And it was just like really, I think that helped a lot. I think because the first time around, I wasn't sleeping. My anxiety was through the roof. And this time I still was anxious, but you learn things.
Right.
Like with Oliver, I never, ever would have had him in my bed at a month old. Never. But this time, no. I was like, I feel more comfortable if she's sleeping next to me. And
Yeah.
I know that she's going to be safe. So this is what we're going to do for everybody to be able to actually sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do to sleep, because when you're not sleeping, it's not good. Not good.
Yeah. When you're not sleeping, it's like, there's no
Everybody,
point. You may as well. Yeah. And then everybody's fighting. And then everybody's yelling. And then the baby's going to start crying because she feels all the anger and tension in the household. So, sleep is so important. Sorry. I need to adjust my body.
I've been like wiggling all over. I'm like real bad with that stuff.
I'm happy that I'm in my bed. Listen, I'm just happy that I'm in my bed.
But guess who's still in my bed at 2 years old? My daughter.
We're not talking about it.
We're not talking about it? No, I need to talk about it. It's a whole nother episode. Bed sharing.
Bed sharing, because Oliver slept in bed with us until I was pregnant. So, and he has his own room. He's had his own room forever, for 3 years, 4 years.
You've seen Sophia's nursery. It's beautiful.
I know.
But there's a giraffe. I don't know. She says there's a giraffe in her room. Girl, there's no giraffe. It's your brain.
I think you need to... Why is she scared of a giraffe anyway? It doesn't make any sense.
Who knows?
Who knows? I need a sip for that.
Yeah, it's legit. Same.
Oh.
I need a whole case for that.
To get through the nights of being kicked in the back and your hair pulled out.
And beaten the head with a baby doll. That was another story. Hold on, ready? Look what Butler said now.
I take blame for the giraffe.
So now it is out there on the internet why Sophia is in my bed. That guy right there. Right there.
Mm. What did he
So
do?
I don't even know. I don't even know what he's talking about.
Oh, jeez.
Do I? No, I don't think I do.
You're like, do I know what goes on in my house?
I'm
Because I
sure
don't know
he'll
what goes on in my house.
yeah, who knows? Maybe he'll explain. Um yeah.
Your turn, girl.
That's a whole episode. He said that's a whole episode.
Oh, great. You gonna come on with us?
Oh, April the giraffe. Does anybody remember April the giraffe? Do you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he hated on her entire labor. Hated. Like,
And the
why?
ghost is in your house.
He was like, why is this giraffe on the news making headlines? She's just giving birth. Like, being a, he was
She's
a jerk.
just giving birth. You give birth.
Yeah, right. Just giving birth.
Thanks for the relatable topic, buddy.
Right. So then she unfortunately passed away. And now he thinks that the giraffe is coming back to haunt our kid because he was making fun of her kid. So, I mean, at least
it
it's
honestly
a thing.
seems legit. It seems legit.
It does seem like it seems legit. That seems legit. Now, can we like end that so she goes back in her room?
I told you, you need to get some sage. Sage it up in there.
I probably
You just don't believe me. 100%. I agree. Listen. 100%.
I'll just do the whole damn house. That's all. I'll just do the whole damn house.
100%. Figure it out, girl.
Yeah. All right. So I guess I'll go into my lovely story. Put your seatbelts on for this one because it's a ride. I'm trying to remember where. So my whole pregnancy was like, it was a bitch. It was a bitch. So I found out real early that I had gestational diabetes. And then I was able to manage that with just diet. Like, I was doing real good. I probably got up to like between 28 to 30 weeks with just diet, which is pretty good. Then I had to go on insulin, but that's whatever. So then after I got diagnosed with that, they diagnosed me with gestational hypertension because I was bad and I never went to the doctors before I got pregnant, and high blood pressure runs in my entire family. Yeah, pretty much. Well, my mom has it, and we think my dad has it. So probably because of my mom, but we love her. So
I feel that though. Same. My husband definitely has high blood pressure because of me.
So that was like a thing. So they monitor my blood pressure, and then they said they wanted to start me on non-stress test super early. Usually you get them at like 32 weeks or something if you're in my like shoes. But they started me before that. I feel like 28, 29 weeks. So I would go in for an ultrasound and they would measure like the fluid and the baby, and she would have to do like certain things. And if she failed, then it was like a big no-no, but she always passed. And then they did a non-stress test, which you just sat there and like in this big comfy chair with like the belly bands on, and you just listen to her heartbeat for like an hour, and it was like relaxing. But then I remember going to work and I was feeling Braxton Hicks contractions. Well, which I thought were Braxton Hicks contractions. And they wouldn't like put me down, but like I'd be like walking and I'd be like, ooh, okay. And I go on my business again. But like throughout that whole time, like standing up like too fast, I would get so lightheaded. My blood pressure was all over the place. I remember bringing my cuff to work and being and like taking it, and it was like I probably should go. I don't even remember the number. It was high. Like I should go to the hospital. I would leave early. It was like starting to get to the point where I was like, I'm probably gonna lose my job because like I'm constantly like calling out or leaving early. But I had like the greatest boss ever at the time, and he like totally understood everything, which was great. So, and this is like all Carmine. You didn't know him.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And like you're probably like, okay, get to your birth story, but this is like literally leading up. Like this stuff is important to hear because yeah. So I remember going to the doctor and I was trying to advocate for myself and be like, listen, I need you to write a note or send a text or call my employer and tell whoever that I either need to cut my hours down or I need to go out early because working this job and having the issues that I have are causing
And
me
Wawa is stressful.
yeah, it's so stressful. I mean
So
to the naked eye, it's like, oh, you make hoagies all day. Like, no, I don't make hoagies all day.
Bro,
I really don't.
You don't know if you've never worked in food service, like you literally don't talk, please.
No, yeah, yeah, right. So, yeah, I asked them to take me out of work and they refused. They said, we don't do that. You're perfectly fine, yada, yada, yada. And I was just like, okay, I'm not fine. My blood pressure's high. You see my blood pressure's high. And like, you think they would have started me on like maybe medication, like to try to like regulate that, but they didn't. And then I ended up on insulin. And so I go in Friday. It was a Friday. I go in for an ultrasound and non-stress test. So I get my light just went out.
I know it was so
that
weird.
Was so
Same
weird.
thing happened to me.
Are you serious?
It's a ghost.
That's not funny. I'm scared of ghosts.
Oh, we bonded over that. Okay, never mind. Different thing. Go ahead.
Yeah.
We're sidetrackers.
That was like so weird. So I go in for a stress test and I tell them, I'm like, hey, listen, I've been having contractions. I don't know if they're like real contractions or those Braxton Hicks contractions. And they're like, okay, well, like we'll find out. Like, the ultrasound looks fine. They did a 3D and like her little face was so precious. I have a picture. I wish I would have prepped that because it was cute. It was cute. It was my baby picture in the hospital and her ultrasound, my very last ultrasound picture, and we are identical, like straight twins.
I mean, and still twins.
I don't see it, but whatever. So they're like, yeah, she looks okay. We're gonna hook you up to the monitor, and I'm like, all right. So I'm sitting there and I'm on the monitor and I'm like, I'm comfortable. My mom's with me. Thank God I brought my mom with me because being by myself, I would have like
lost it.
Yeah, because Butler was probably working some crazy shift at Wawa because we both worked at Wawa. So they're like, they come in and they're like, well, we can see that you're having contractions. I'm like, yeah, I know. I told you. Like, they're there. And like what I can feel them. Like, I can feel them. Hello. So at this point, I was only 32 weeks. And a couple days, maybe something like that. So they were like, all right, maybe you're dehydrated. We should take you. We're going to put you in triage. And I was like, oh, Jesus, God, here we go. And I told my mom for months, I said, I don't want my baby shower super close to my due date because I don't think I'm making it to my due date. This baby's coming early. Like, just
we literally
something just in me. Yeah, we had just
I was
had
just
it.
There. You weren't even unpacked yet. Like, it wasn't even unpacked.
No. So it's like something in me was like, this isn't right. This isn't like, I'm having this baby early. And she's like, stop wishing that. And I'm like, I'm not wishing it. It's just I could feel like I
vaguely remember, like, I think it was like a few days after your baby shower, like I came home and we were on FaceTime and you were like hardcore folding baby clothes, going through everything. I'm like, Dana, what are you doing? You have like a month.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
this baby's coming early.
No,
I'm telling you. And I'm like,
I had to get
you're
that room together.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
you felt that urgency for real.
Yeah. So they take me down to triage, and that's a whole wait there. So, you know, you're waiting and waiting and waiting. And then finally you get put in the room and it's this big. And I'm just like, dude, like, I'm over this. I'm texting my boss because I'm supposed to be at work the next day. And I'm like, listen, I don't know if I'm making it. They have me in triage. I don't know what's going on. My blood pressure is through the roof. Like, it was like 190 over like 100 or something, which is like not good. I mean, you know, there's worse, but not good. So they're like, we need you to drink water. I'm like, all right. So I'm like drinking and drinking. They're like, you're not peeing. Like, do you have to get up and pee? And I'm like, I mean, I probably could go, but they're like, you're not drinking enough. If you drink water, these contractions will stop. And at this point, I haven't really felt any. Like, I was just like, I don't feel them anymore. Like, I think they were just Braxton Hicks. They're like, no, they're real contractions. I'm like, well, if this is the case, then it's going to be a breeze because I feel nothing. That was wrong. That was wrong. So they like check me to see if I'm dilated, which that sucked. That was the worst.
Oh, so painful.
Worst. The worst. I'm so mad. It makes me mad thinking about it. Like, it was the worst pain ever.
So painful. It's so painful. If you guys don't know what it's like to have a hand reach up inside of you while there's also a head pushing down, be lucky. Be happy that you don't know what that feels like.
So I wasn't dilated at the time. I wasn't. But my blood pressure was like still like rising. And I'm like, well, you're doing all this stuff to me and like you're not really explaining anything to me. You're just coming in like feeling me up and telling me to drink water and go pee. So now I'm full of water and I'm finally like peeing and they're like, you're dehydrated. And I'm just like, whatever. Like, okay. So some time passed and you can only have one person back there. So my mom and Butler kept switching off. Like, Butler would go out, have a cigarette. My mom would come in, vice, you know, back and forth. So it was like the last time Butler got up to come back in. And now it's me and him. And then the doctor comes in or the nurse, whatever. And she goes, all right, so we got some news. And I'm like, can I go home? And she was like, no. And I was like, wait, what? What do you mean no? She was like, you're not going home. You probably won't go home for another week. And I was just like, a week? What do you mean? She was like, we're going to keep you here till Thursday. We're going to put you in a room. And then you're going to get induced. And I'm like, okay, but the baby, like 32 weeks. She's like, you'll be 33. And at that point, like, most of everything is okay. We'll give you shots to develop her lungs. And yeah, we'll induce you on Thursday at midnight. I'm just like, I like remember looking at Butler and we're both just sitting there like, huh? We're having a baby?
But like, they like didn't even give you a reason? Like
they diagnosed me with preeclampsia.
Yeah.
So we all know how that goes.
Yeah.
So Butler texts my mom who's in the waiting room, and I feel like if I could have been a fly on the wall, that waiting room was probably chaos. Like, she was probably losing her mind.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm her only kid, so she's very like protective of me, I guess. But she's also crazy, so yeah. And her and doctors don't really get along well. Whatever. So, they get me onto this floor. I don't know if it wasn't labor and delivery because it was like a mom unit. Okay. I don't know. It was weird. Yeah, it was like, so I had like the coolest nurses. They were so sweet. I was like freaking out. They're like, no need to freak out. Like, everything's going to be fine. We'll take care of you. And I was just like, okay. Now, that was like the first nurses I had. The rest of them, I don't know. Not so.
Not so nice.
Yeah.
Not so there for you. Like they never gave birth to a child in their life.
Right. So, so they, we get there. They explain everything. I'm going to have to go on magnesium. They're going to have to put a catheter in me, which that was awful. That was so bad. I don't know what's worse. They were like literally holding me down on the bed, like, you can't move. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
I was numb from my first catheter, not the second one,
dude. And the magnesium, that's a
it
wild
burns.
Literally, you're literally melting from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget. I made them turn the air. They brought me up my own fan. Like, I had like a little fan, like a desk fan or whatever. They were like, we'll get you a fan. The AC was on the lowest setting it could possibly go. Like, nurses were coming in like jackets like this to check my vitals. Butler was like in 5 hoodies. My mom would come in like a winter jacket. And I'm like, you guys aren't hot? They're like, no, it's like 40 below in here. And I was like, dude, I'm sweating. Like, something's wrong with you. I'm like, no, it's this drug, man. So I don't really remember, like, the rest of that night was just trying to get adjusted to everything, get in the magnesium in me, monitoring the baby, like, just whatever. So now I'm in the hospital. It's Friday. Like, it felt like the longest week of my life. And thank God, like, my mom came up every day. Butler was there with me. I think our friend Kayla came in for a little bit, and our friend Brittany came in for a little bit to see me. They brought me like coloring books and all types of stuff. The food was like, yeah. And I still had to be on the diabetes diet, so like I've really got nothing. They had to finger prick me 1,000,000 times. Awful. I'll never forget. They let me shower for like the first time since Friday. It was like Tuesday. They finally like let me up because I was on the magnesium for 24 hours.
Yeah.
And then I still had to like wait another 24 hours before I could get out of bed because you can't feel your body. You just feel like you're melting. Like, you're just melting into the bed. Like, that's all you feel. So I finally get the shower. She takes the IV out, which, like, hallelujah. That was the worst. And looking at it, I'm not. First off, you can never find a vein on me ever. So they poked me 1,000 times. They finally got it in. They take it out, whatever. And then she takes it out. She's like, I'm the best IV putter inner there is on the floor. When you get out of the shower, ring the bell thing, and I'm going to put it back in. I'm like, man, okay. So I like take the longest shower possible. And I call her back in. Fresh sheets, fresh me. I'm feeling okay. Haven't had contractions. I'm like, can I go home? They're like, no, your blood pressure's still high. And I'm like, well, because I'm here. So she goes to put the IV back in, right? Misses or something, blood everywhere. Sorry, trigger warning. Blood, IV, blood. All over my fresh, all over my fresh sheets, all over my fresh gown, all over me. Amber, I was so sad.
I never even knew this.
Yeah, I was so sad.
You're just like, what I'm imagining.
What?
The Addams Family movie?
Yeah.
When they're like in the play and he cuts off the arm.
Oh my God.
And it's like,
yeah. Well, thank God. I mean, I wasn't looking. I was like this. I was like, please tell me when it's done. And she's like, yeah, okay. And she's like fumbling around with it. And I'm like, are you done? Like, this is forever. And I look down and I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, please, please. I was like, am I dying? She's like, no, you're fine, just put a little pressure. And I'm like, pressure? There's a pool of blood. Like, I lost a pint. Like, I don't know what. She's like, you're being dramatic. And I'm like,
I mean, you are, but
that's me. Like, hello, I'm dramatic. Oh my god. So what day was, I guess that was Tuesday. So then Wednesday comes and they're like, okay, at midnight, this is what's going to happen. We're going to roll you down into labor and delivery. We're going to get you hooked up to induce you. And you're going to have a baby. And at this point, I was like mentally prepared, but not really. Like, I was freaking out. My blood pressure had finally like stabilized. And then I watched the clock all day that day. And she came in to take my vitals the last round before I went down. And she was like, are you really that nervous? I'm like, why? She's like, your blood pressure is through the roof. And I'm like, I'm about to have a baby. Like, yeah, I'm about to have a premature baby, let alone that. I'm going to have a baby that's going to go into the NICU. I don't even know if I'm going to have time to hold her or see her or like,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, my blood pressure is going to be high. Bite me. Like, you're already taking her out of me, so I might as well be high now. Awful. So then we go down into labor and delivery. I mean, there's probably like things like I'm like they tried to explain everything to me and they told me like she's gonna be okay, you know, whatever. But I wasn't like my mind was she's gonna be 33 weeks, and that's really scary. Like, it's like this big. Like, she was so tiny. But whatever. So we get down into labor and delivery. It's this giant room now, and I was like, where was this? Because I feel like a queen. They had the bed. Amber, I don't know if you've ever seen a bed like that. Like, it was like this, and I was sitting like that. Like, it was so weird. Like, I was like up on like a pedestal. I don't know why.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, like the bed was like in such a weird position. I don't know. I guess to like get everything like
going.
It was so weird. So they hooked me up to everything, and now I'm back on magnesium. I had to stay on magnesium as long as I was in labor. Oh my god, that was terrible. I couldn't.
You constantly feel like you're peeing yourself.
Yeah, because you have the catheter, and you're constantly like you feel like you have to pee.
It's like warm.
You're allowed. Like, the catheter itself was awful. Like, you feel like you have to pee all the time, but you are like you can't. I don't know. That's kind of gross.
It's weird. It's weird how it works.
The magnesium. I remember they put it in for the second time, and my whole arm felt like it was on fire. Like, I was like, something's not right. Like, this really hurts. And they're like, no. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, like, something's not right. It hurts. And she was like, okay, well, maybe we'll lower the dosage or whatever. I don't know what I don't remember what she said. So she comes back in. She like messes it with, like, she shoves it back in my arm a little bit. She's like, maybe it just wasn't in all the way. And I was like, oh, so now there's just magnesium floating around under my skin somewhere. That's fine, I guess. Sure.
I love it. Love it.
So it finally stopped burning, but then I remember having this feeling like I'm gonna pass out. Like, my ears were going womp 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 womp, and then everything was like, it was just a weird, like, I felt like I was coming out of my body, if that makes sense. And then I was like, nurse, I'm gonna pass out or something's wrong. Like, I don't feel right. She's like, no, you're fine. I'm like, no, I'm not. She's like, all right, we'll lower the like whatever. So I was like,
the
okay.
dosage.
Yeah. So finally everything's like situated. Everything's fine. And then I started laboring. They put a pill in me to like soften my cervix. Yeah, that was fun.
A pill?
Yeah, they like up, up.
Is that like the balloon?
I don't know. No, no. They did that like 3 times with Pitocin, but magnesium fights Pitocin. So my body
Yes.
was like, "What are you doing?" And
It's like, I don't think so.
yeah. So like, oh no, no. But I actually responded pretty well to it. I think I progressed like fairly like normal, I guess. I don't know. A lot of it's like fuzzy. I wish Butler was like right here so I could be like, "Hey, what happened now?" But yeah, it's work. I just remember telling my nurses that I was on a tropical island because it was so damn hot. I was so hot.
You're
They're
like
like,
hallucinating.
I really was. I really truly was. So then they put the balloon in me, and I think that really got things like they put the balloon in, and it's supposed to fall out when you're like 5 or 6, I think, centimeters.
Rude.
Sorry, girl.
Rude.
So they came in, they did their thing, they pulled on the balloon, which was so uncomfortable, and finally it came out. But then my water never broke, so they had to go in and break my water. And I was like, oh man, they show me what they use to break your water. Did you see it?
No,
Oh, no, you didn't. No,
but no, I
it's
did
a fucking
not.
crochet hook. It looks like a damn crochet hook, okay? I'm not even Amber, I wish I was joking.
I'm gonna tell you this: if they did show me, I don't remember it. It's blocked out of my memory.
They were like, okay, so we're gonna open this and this is, and I was like, are you gonna knit a damn blanket? Like, what are you doing? It looks like a crochet hook. So they they break my water, and it was like your typical like gush,
Whoosh.
like
Rude.
yeah. And I was like, it's still going. And they're like, it's normal. And I'm like, but it's still going. I feel like I'm peeing. They're like, you're not. And I'm like, okay. But I'm high. Like at this point, like the drugs have been going. You know.
You're just
So
talking some shit.
I think I pretty much slept the rest of that night because it was like after midnight because I had to wait till midnight for
Yeah.
so it had to be like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. So I get to sleep, and they're coming in every 10 minutes, like, hey, and I'm like, hey,
I'd like to sleep before I never sleep again. Thanks.
The next day, my parents came, and like now I'm like in like I'm like feeling things. I can't remember like how long it took me to get from centimeter or how long in total I was in labor for. Like I don't remember. I just remember getting induced around midnight-ish and then having her. My parents were there, and it was starting to get weird because guess what? COVID was a thing. And so nurses were kept coming in and out with like updates like, hey, we might have to kick you out. And my mom's like, you're not kicking me out. And I'm like, Mom, you have to listen. Yeah, Mom, you have to listen to the doctors. Like, you have to listen. They're going to kick you out.
Your mom, I don't think so. You can call the police.
Right. So it was like real early in the morning on Thursday. And then finally, I don't even know what time it was, but they ended up kicking her, my dad, everybody. Like there was a whole waiting room of people like waiting for me to have the baby. And
because we're like a month into COVID.
Yeah. No.
Like,
no.
Not even.
The first day. Like I had her the day we all got shut down. March 12th, 2020.
Yeah, but COVID was a thing in like February.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But like it
wasn't here yet. It wasn't here yet. I don't know. COVID.
Whatever. It was stressful.
Yeah. It wasn't here yet though. So yeah, everything got shut down. Everybody got kicked out. And now I'm like in labor. Like I remember my mom giving me a kiss on the head. And she's like, call me when you can. And she was telling Butler, like, please text me And I know he was texting all of you guys,
Oh yeah, he was.
like, updates and stuff. And I was like, yeah, mom. And like, I'm in the middle of a contraction and I just like scream the F word so loud. And that was the first time I've ever said the F word in front of my mom. And she was like, excuse me. I was like, Mom, I'm sorry. I'm in labor and it hurts. I had to be like 6 or 7 centimeters at this time because right after that, I was like, I need the drugs. Like, I need the drugs. I need the, like, somebody. And the nurse was like, if you wait any longer, you might like progress to 10 before you can get it. And then you can't get it. Because after a certain centimeter, you can't get it. And I'm just like, oh shit, well, you better get that. You better wrap that shit up right now.
Let's
like,
go.
Let's go.
You got it on. You got it outside. You got it outside.
I'm telling you, like, I never felt pain like that in my entire life. Like, that was rough. That was so rough. And it was rough enough that I pretty much broke the bed because I was on my side. So I'm on my side. Imagine me, well, right here. Here's the railing. Butler's standing over me. And like the only thing I could do, because I couldn't move because I was on magnesium, was I could move my arms. That was about it. So I like was pushing on the bed and the rail was like snapping. He was like, you need to stop. You're breaking the bed. I'm like, this fucking hurts. What do you mean? I don't care about the goddamn bed. Like, who gives a shit? They'll bill me. They'll probably bill me for everything. I don't care. Let me break the bed. Finally, I get the epidural. And that was rough too, because you have to wait for a contraction and you're sitting up and that shit sucks. So I remember grabbing a nurse. She was like, here, hold the pillow. And when you get a contraction, don't move. I said, okay, yeah, all right, lady. Like, okay. Let me not move.
That's like, it's the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah. So, hold on. I need a sip. I'm dry. So, I'm holding on to her and I'm getting a contraction and I squeeze and she yanks away from me. And I'm like, I thought I could hold on to you. She's like, you can't squeeze me. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, damn. Like, this shit hurts. Like, I just want to feel better. Like,
just so you know, they gave me my epidural like as soon as I got to the hospital with Oliver, and I was all up on my nurse. She did not move at all. She was the nicest.
I made it to 8 centimeters though. I'm pretty proud of myself.
Girl, let me tell you something. I could never imagine. It's so crazy because we have so, like, you could never imagine having a C-section. I could never imagine having a vaginal birth.
Yeah.
It sounds rough. It sounds rough.
It is rough. So, there's really nothing, like, I after I get the epidural, they kind of like roll me back and forth because they're like, gravity helps. Yeah. And I'm like, I had like one pocket at like the lower right hand, but I'm like, I can still, like, it feels like I'm just being like stabbed. And they're like, just keep rolling. And I'm like, I can't feel my entire body. Like, what do you mean? Like, I could barely hold my head up. So they toss me back and forth. And finally it all wore off. Or not wore off, but like, the pain wore. Yeah, it kicked in. So I fell asleep. And I feel like I was asleep for like 20 seconds and they woke me up and they're like, let's check you. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, oh, time for a baby. And I'm like,
I took a nap.
I was just taking a nap. Like, I just wanted to take a damn nap. Like, come on. So now let me just clarify. This is my version. And you have to remember, like, I was drugged. So Mr. Mike Butler, my husband, if you're watching, if I'm like messing up anything, like, please forgive me. I'm not trying to, like, whatever. But this is what I remember. So
which means she's about to throw you under the bus.
No. Yeah, well, a little bit. But I remember him texting everybody, right? I remember my legs getting thrown up on the things, the doctors coming in, and they're like, okay, we're gonna take it, like, we're gonna do some practice pushing, and I'm like, yeah, okay. They're like, typically it takes, like, it could take anywhere from 1 to 3 hours. And I said, 3 hours? Watch me. Literally not happening. I'm not taking 3 hours to push this kid out. You're absolutely false. Like, not happening. And they're like, okay, like, whatever. So that, like, I'm, like, basically, like, doing it, like, by myself. Like, the doctor's getting her, like, stuff on. Well, like, when you feel a contraction,
like,
just,
COVID.
Yeah. When you have a contraction, just, whatever. And I'm like, I can't feel anything. So I'm just gonna, wing it. Like, when it gets tight, I'm just gonna go for it. So I'm
They
pushing.
didn't have the thing.
Girl, I couldn't turn my head. What do you mean? Like, I don't know. I didn't know where I was. So they're like, oh, okay, like, the bait, like, she's coming. I'm like, well, good, because it's not gonna take me no 3 hours. So the doctor's there now, and it was like, but it was a doctor and then, like, a student. Like, there were so many people, and they're like, oh, we're waiting for the NICU team to get up here because she's gonna have to go. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like, they're like, just keep going, you're doing great, like, we can see, whatever. I don't want to get too graphic. So Butler's texting everybody. He's like, I guess, well, I don't know, baby's coming, whatever. I wish I saved all those text messages, but I didn't. And I probably got a new phone since then.
I feel like I have mine. They're in, like, Facebook or something.
Yeah. So then the next thing I hear is, the baby's coming. I'm like, will you start taking pictures? Like, take pictures. And then she was here. So it was, I forget, 30 minutes of pushing, and she was there. I was like, see, I told you it wasn't going to take 3 hours. I was not messing around. I was not going to take 3 hours to push this kid out of me. And she came out crying, her little mighty self. She was crying, and I was so grateful because they were able to put her on me. They, like, literally, like, ripped my gown off. Like, the NICU team didn't get up there, nothing. They were like, okay, she's crying, she's okay. Here's some chest to chest. I remember so clearly, I'm like, I'm going to check all of her toes and all of her fingers, make sure all 10 are there, see
That's
if
the
she
first
has
thing we
hair.
do.
Yeah. I look at her hair because I want to know if she has hair, because, being a girl mom, you want a little baby with hair.
My baby's bald.
So was she. So then the NICU team got up there. They took her off of me. They weighed her, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I told him, I said, I don't care about me whatsoever. Go with her. Like, follow them. Don't let her out of your sight. Like, I don't know what they're going to do to her. I don't know. Like, you don't know. Well, not like that, but, like, I just wanted
somebody to keep an eye on her.
There. Yeah, somebody there. And then could relay messages to me, So he went with her. Gross. Another trigger warning, gross. My placenta wouldn't come out.
What?
Yeah.
Trigger warning to me.
It came out in pieces. So literally I was laying there and they were just, like, up in me, like, pulling it out piece by piece.
I don't even know.
They wrapped her up, put her little hat on, showed her to me, and then she was gone. And then I didn't see her for 24 hours. My little heart was broken.
Yeah.
I didn't get to hold her. I didn't get to see her. They said that they would wheel me down there, but then they changed their mind because of COVID. So,
well, she was already inside of me. So, like, what do you mean?
Right. It just sucked. I couldn't, they did. So something cool. They have cameras and, webcam. Butler said, glad I made this peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
I'm done with him.
You lived it, bro. You lived it.
He wasn't there. He was following the baby.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He didn't have to see all that. He's still awake, though.
He is still awake. I'm surprised. I'm surprised he hasn't called me out for being wrong, because I'm sure I am in some.
Well, you were wrong last week. Butler's
I
the
know.
fact checker.
He is a fact checker. Yeah, whatever.
We're
So,
tired, okay?
yeah.
Sleepy
So,
moms.
I still have to finish this.
Dude,
Did
mine's
you
done.
finish?
I already drank half my bottle.
Okay, so he said, "Oh, look, everybody. I've been good. Drugged up and everything. I told the story pretty damn straight. Not now. Then. Not now. Then. Let's rephrase that. I'm not drugged right now. So he went with her, and they did their thing with me again for the second time. I told them I'm gonna pass out. Something's wrong. Didn't believe me. I passed out. He wasn't in the room. I think he was. At this point, we were trying to order me something to eat because I hadn't had anything to eat because you're not allowed to. And then, because with gestational diabetes, once your placenta leaves, you're basically back to normal. So they're like, you can have pizza, you can have this. And I was like, okay. And then, like, literally, I was like, no, something's wrong. Like, I had that, like, feeling again. And, yeah, that was scary. I still to this day don't know what that was. Then they wheeled me up into like recovery, whatever. And my husband gets sick with a stomach flu thing.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
and
that.
Leaves me. Hear that, buddy? You left me. You left your
I
dying wife.
You weren't dying. You were fine. God,
I felt like I was dying.
Dramatic.
I know. It's okay.
Good thing Spotify says that we're explicit.
Yeah, right. Trigger warning.
We've been pretty
I feel like you gotta put that on
today.
everything nowadays because people
trigger warning. For sure.
So, yeah. Shut up. I knew where you were trying to go there. Yeah, so I got pizza. And he was throwing up in the bathroom. And then he went home. And here he goes. In my defense, stomach flu when COVID was getting serious, I was probably going to get kicked out anyway.
Nobody had to know.
Nobody had to know.
Were you going to tell everybody?
Right.
Were you going to go out there broadcasting it?
I'm puking in here.
Just so everybody knows. I may have a fever. By the way, also, though, like, the symptoms of COVID were the symptoms of the flu in the beginning. We're not going to get into that right now.
Yeah.
Though. I'm so,
That's
heated.
Topic.
It's a whole nother thing. Audible vomiting. Well, I mean, they are checking.
You turn the sink on. It's fine. So,
they don't think about that.
Yeah. So, I don't even know where I was. Oh, so he left me. I get to watch her in a little, like, webcam, which was cool. They had webcams. Even when I came home without her, like, I could still bring it up and watch what she's doing. As long as she wasn't getting her care and it wasn't shift change. It's the only time there was no cameras. And by care, I mean, like, feedings and, like, diaper changes and stuff like that. Vitals, stuff like that. Then he made his way back, but he was still, like, pretty, like, sick. And me being dumb, he was like, I don't know if it's a good idea if I take you down there. And I'm like, you have to take me to go see her. Like, I'm finally able to go see her. He's like, what about a nurse? And I'm like, no, like, we're going to go down as a family. My whole pregnancy was, like, effed up from the beginning. Like, nothing was traditional. She got ripped out at me at 33 weeks. I want a family moment. Like, I was so upset. Like, my heart was, like, so broken over this whole thing. And then she's being in the NICU for who knows how long. And he's like, I'm literally, like, I don't know what's wrong with me and I don't want to get her sick. I said, don't touch her then. Just stay away. But you're taking me down there. So he took me down and thankfully it all worked out. Like, now me being me, I probably wouldn't like, yeah, you're not going. I'll find a nurse or something. But then I didn't care. I just needed to see my baby. And she was perfect. She was, like, so perfect. She had dark little hair. She was only 4 pounds 6 ounces. And she was born at 12:02 p.m. on Thursday, March 12th, 2020. COVID baby. And she spent 2 weeks in the NICU, and I basically spent 2 weeks in the NICU with her. I came home to eat dinner and go to sleep, and I was right back in the morning. But COVID kept getting worse and worse, and they were telling me that they were going to limit times, and I was like, if I have to, I'm packing a bag, leaving it in the car, and they're going to, if they tell me that I can't, I'll be like, well, I'm sleeping here. Like, what do you end of story. Thank God she couldn't. So at first she needed oxygen, and then she came off of that, and then she had to do like she had jaundice, so she had to be under the lights, and then she couldn't keep her body temperature, and then she could, and then she couldn't. So she was in an incubator, and then she wasn't in it, and then she was. It was like a whole thing. And she had to learn.
She was just already a drama queen. Gosh.
She was a drama queen. She had to learn how to eat, which, you know, they literally said it's like a light switch. So she was on a feeding tube, and but they would like take her off, like take it out so you could feed her a bottle. So as soon as she ate a whole bottle, she was able to come home, and like literally, I'll never forget it. One day, I was like, Sophia Marie, you better take your damn bottle, because you need to come home, because the world is falling apart, and I need you to come home so we can just lock ourselves in the damn house and not have to be bothered. Literally, the world is falling apart, because it was like things were so crazy.
Yeah.
Riots and stuff, like it was just nuts. So like a couple days later, she took her first full, and I said, damn right, you're gonna listen to your mom. Okay, you listen. So we were on our way up there. We got a phone call. They said she took her first full bottle. If you guys can come in. We're about to do another feeding. You can see. So they did, and she did. She took another full bottle, and they were like, all right, well, tomorrow, if she passes her car seat test, you can take her home. I was like, okay. And she did. And we got to take her home. And it was terrifying.
Now she's a monster.
From that moment forward. And now I have a 2-year-old who's a demon.
An actual demon. She's the one who delivered the toy for Oliver.
Probably. She sent it mentally. I just wanted to make it like, I would never wish a NICU baby on anybody, because it's rough. Like, it really messes with you mentally. Like, there was nights I was like laying there like crying, because I'm like, I shouldn't be watching you on a damn monitor, like from the hospital. I should be watching you on a monitor from your room or next to me. Like, and it definitely made postpartum 1,000 times worse.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to sleep. I wanted to be there. Like, I didn't, like, everybody was like, you need to heal. Like, take this time to, you know, heal and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I don't want to. Like, I should be healing with my baby. Whether that's hard on its own, because I know it is. Like, I don't know. It was hard. It was really hard. That whole thing was really hard. I know I was joking around now, but going through it, it was rough.
And I remember. But you know what, too? I think, like, talking... see, for me, it was, like, my experiences were just, like, annoying and miserable, and just, like, doctors are stupid to me. But the aftermath was worse.
Yeah.
But, like, even though we talk every day and we've lived through it with each other, it's, like, hearing
and that was another
everything
thing
all over again is so different.
Well, with Oliver, you had, like, we were best friends, but you, like, went through everything you had. Like, I didn't meet Oliver for a little bit because you were so, like, you're, you know, whatever. But, like, you couldn't even come.
You met Oliver right away? What are you talking about?
No, I didn't.
I'm sending you the picture. What do you mean?
It wasn't, like, the first week. It was like a
Yes,
couple
it
weeks.
was.
No, it wasn't.
Oh my gosh, yes,
He
it
was
was. We're not
still
even arguing
little.
about this right now. Oh my god, no. I'm gonna find the picture and I'm gonna send it to you.
I
And I'm
know
gonna
he
have the
was-
stamp. I'm gonna. You're fact checked. You're getting fact checked right now.
No, I remember.
Oh no, we're not even doing this right now. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
It wasn't like the first week.
Lies all day. Oh, my
Because
God.
you were definitely like more like
A psychopath.
Well,
Butler
Butler
can't help
said
with this.
I can't help with this one.
Sorry. Thanks.
Whatever. Anyway, I know he was still
That's
little.
all right,
Like,
because
it
I
was,
can fact
it was
check
in
her,
the
so it's
first
fine.
month. It was like for sure in the first month, but I don't think it was like in the first week or two.
No, it probably wasn't in the first week or two, but
Well, that's what I meant.
It
I
was
didn't mean
definitely
like he was like
within
5 months old.
I feel like it was definitely within 2 weeks because everybody was coming over. It's not like it was COVID when I had him.
No, I know. But, I had work and stuff. I don't think it was. But whatever. It's fine.
I'm finding the picture.
I'll find it. It's
I'm
probably on my
finding
Facebook.
it.
We'll go back on my
For
Facebook.
sure. We're good. We're finding it. We're figuring it out.
But I had
can
nobody.
Google search. I'm gonna search on my phone right now.
Like, they kicked everybody out of, and then like nobody was able to go see. It was just hard.
Well, and it's like I remember.
Like, you just picture the grandparents meeting the baby and the baby in the room, and then recovering and having to hear other rooms with a crying baby, and like literally I was by myself because my husband's dying at home somewhere, and I'm here like with nobody. Like, that was so hard. It really like messed with me mentally, and that's a whole nother episode, our postpartum shit. But
that's a long one.
That is a long one.
Well, damn, Dane, you went on. You were really into the details tonight, which is good because I
feel like they're necessary with what happened.
They are.
To me. Like,
no, 100% agree.
Preeclampsia is no joke. If your blood pressure is high, and fun fact, not really fun, but you can have preeclampsia after you deliver. So if you have migraines or seeing spots or anything, and you had just had a baby, go get checked because you can still get preeclampsia. You get postpartum preeclampsia.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can have the seizures and all that stuff.
Shit. Yeah, that's crazy, dude. I feel like we just learn so much every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this was a really. I honestly. It's so weird because it's like we've talked about this 1,000,001 times, right?
Oh yeah.
But there's always stuff that we like miss, or like we forgot.
Or like we have
about.
a screaming child in our ear, and we're like, "Oh, did you say that?"
Yeah. Exactly. So I feel like I think like doing this is going to just make our.
Yeah, it's like a scrapbook.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Also, me yelling at you, but I am looking on Facebook. I'm gonna send.
It's fine. I'm probably wrong. Everybody, like, I'm so like terrible with dates. But
yeah, I know you are.
Just to make it clear, I'm not saying it was like 5 months later. I just don't think it was in like the first like 2 weeks. Let me just put that out there, because you jumped down my throat before you heard me out. Okay, that's what she does best. Just let me finish my sentences.
Oh, you mean I was being me? Oh, okay.
Yeah. She doesn't let me finish my sentences. She just automatically thinks that I'm wrong. Okay?
That's me in a nutshell.
Because I remember I was in my maroon Wawa hoodie, and Oliver was just an itty bitty baby.
He was so
my hair was in a mom bun.
Yes. And I was like, "Ooh, I like that hoodie. I want that Wawa."
And I remember holding him, and he did like and you're like, "What's wrong with him?" And snatched him out of my hands. And I was like, the last time I held him. And then he hated me. He hated me his entire child.
He loves you now. You let him rule your Alexa when we're there.
That's true. Sunshine, or what? Sunflower, whatever that song was, the Spider-Man song.
Oh yeah,
with Post Malone. That was his jam.
Yeah. That was his jam. We'll post some videos of him singing that at some point. Yeah. This kid hates me. He'll be done.
After what you did today.
We're not talking about that, Dana. We're done. The episode is over. We're not
Yeah, we
talking
don't
about my
have time for
parenting
that.
right now, okay? We don't
have
got
time
another
for it.
hour. I'm sleepy.
We did good. We did good.
We did
I think we
good.
did good. I'm sorry
Well-
if my storytelling is boring. I was
I
watching.
thought it was hilarious.
I was watching all of our stuff. Nobody likes me. It's okay.
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
used
what
to
do you mean? Shut up. I'm
Okay.
done. All right. This is where we're ending
Wait.
it, guys.
Okay, so I'm going to say this. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We have Spotify. We have an Anchor. Not sure if those two are the same thing or not.
We're
Still confused.
And Facebook.
Didn't I say Facebook?
No. And Instagram.
I said that.
Oh, okay. Well, you didn't
Oh.
say Facebook.
And if anybody is watching that knows how to write a jingle or a song, we need like a 10, 15 minute,
15-minute second.
no, 10, 15 seconds. Little, I may be a little tipsy. This was two cans. I'm a lightweight, okay? I don't drink anymore.
She is. I
Um,
already know when Dana's a little tipsy. You were a little tipsy 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, my cheeks are a little rosy. At least I'm not doing this. That was my signature.
All right. Follow us,
Follow
us
us,
when
like
the
us.
videos
Share
up on
us.
Spotify.
I see all you people. Nobody's sharing. I want to see a share. Okay? I love everybody.
All right. She is. Okay, I think with the drinking might be done after this week.
I gotta
Join us
finish
next
this.
Thursday, guys. What are we going to talk about next Thursday? We're going to talk about what everybody loves to do. All the things that they say they're going to do as a parent before they become a parent. I know you all out there. I know it because I did it. Dana did it.
Yep.
Oh, my kid's not going to do this. My kid's not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. Y'all lying to yourselves. So
You're
we're
right.
here to call you out next week,
Yep.
Thursday.
Yep.
See
10
ya.
p.m. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.